Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So I had this conversation recently with somebody I know, and there's a, people ask for more and more handouts and help, and something that I see, I grew up in Lawrence. It was not a rich town at all. There's a lot of handouts. It's a welfare town. It was a welfare town. Now it's changed a lot since I grew up there. But what I used to see was the more people were given, the more disabled they became. Meaning, if somebody gives you something, pays your bills, and doesn't teach you how to become strong enough to succeed on your own, you become expectant and dependent on those handouts. And every time there's an election season, you see people go around and, kind of touch base into, but never really spend any time to understand how disabling it is to give so much money to quote-unquote poor people instead of teaching them how teach a man how to fish, feed him for a lifetime, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. We're feeding people by the day. And the more we disable people, the harder it becomes for people to find wealth and to believe that they can, or to say, no, I don't want to take that anymore. I want to do this on my own. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are in that, because we need a leader who will help people be able to fish and help them be able to stand on their own 2 feet, support their family. It's not an overnight thing. It's going to take years. But it also encompasses teaching families about fiscal responsibility. And nobody's learning about money in school, and kids are working when they're 16 instead of when they're 12, when they can learn a lot.
Yes. Thank you. The three of us really agree with your question. So, I'm sure the rest of us in their hearts, they agreed as well. One of the things that, before I forget, let me just answer the question of financial literacy. I've sponsored legislation after legislation, trying to get it through Congress that we should teach people how to be financially literate. One of the most powerful days of my life was when my mentor, who was a Chick-fil-A operator, taught me at 15 years old. He says, Tim, you want to know the difference between an income and a profit. Knowing that difference is massive in the ability to achieve the goals that you have. One of the lessons I learned as that kid, I was talked about earlier, being in a single-parent household of poverty, is that my mother worked 16-hour days. She said if she could take care of her kids, it was her responsibility to do so. Never ask anyone to do for you what you can do for yourself. It's one of the reasons why, if you've seen my commercials on TV, one of the things I say is if you're able-bodied in America, you work. If you take out a loan, you pay it back. You commit a violent crime, you go to jail. God made you a man, you play sports against men. I say that because those are very basic values. It's a value proposition that I received as a young kid. And I watched my mother work for barely more than minimum wage so that she could support her kids. And when there was too much month at the end of the money, she worked overtime. And when that didn't work, she worked on the weekends. It's one of the reasons why I'm a tad bit of a workaholic, probably even to this day. When you have the model that there's dignity in all work, you realize that when you do something for someone who can do it for themselves, you rob them of a part of their dignity. One of the things I've been saying around the country is that the drug of victimhood and the narcotic of despair is spreading like a cancer across our country. And the way that you cut that off is by requiring people to do all that they can for themselves. Period. It works. Work works. Also, my grandfather taught me that the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. And that is something we are missing. We had a conversation before you asked a question about the importance of becoming something so that you can do more. Doing before you have. In today's society, we want to put your problems in the microwave, and 30 seconds later, you have an answer. It just doesn't work that way. And it should not work that way. Old philosophy from the farmers remind us that whatever you sow, you're going to reap it. You don't reap it tomorrow, you reap it during the season of harvest. And for some reason, we've forgotten those basic universal principles that work. I want to remind us of that by the way that we establish policy positions. I also think that we have to make sure that all the kids in our country today have dual tracks in learning. For some reason, when I was a kid, we started selling people that the only way to be successful in life was to go to college. $35,000 later, many college graduates say there must be a better way. Well, why not? You're too young to remember these days. I am not. We had SHOP. Anybody remember SHOP? In school? I know you don't remember it because you're too young. But we had SHOP in school.
They had it. I just didn't do it.
Okay, very good. Well, you had dual tracks in education. We need to get back to helping people, helping kids when they're in 6th and 7th and 8th grade, realize that the dignity of work means that you can create your own path. But you got to pick a path. You have to do something when you're able-bodied. And I'm not talking about just a physical ability to go to work, because today, the mental ability to go to work is just as important. So making sure that we have a nation of workers. We are at the lowest level of men, 1854, working in the history of the country. We are teaching people.
Was that just men?
Men. Women are doing a better job than we are. Y'all are doing a better job than we are.
Check in on that.
Yes, sir. Y'all are doing a better job than we are. Without any question. Y'all are also smarter than we are, and lots of other things. But these are problems that we can solve, though. One of the things I said with the last budget deal that we had, I voted against because I can't imagine giving Joe Biden an unlimited credit card until he's no longer president. That to me seems ridiculous. But we also should have required more work requirements on all the social welfare benefits that we present to the people. But if you can work, you gotta work in the Tim Scott administration.
And Senator, you have